started. Hi guys, and welcome to the episode on the channel. And today we will be talking about Walt Disney, where it all started with a mouse. And how is a house pet supposed to link with this? We'll find out soon enough. Alright, who was Walt Disney? Walt Disney is basically a professional man who is an animator. He's dead, of course, and he named his company after himself, which is what most companies are. And I'm guessing now that that's about it, let's just get started with the Walt Disney. Now, Walt Disney is an animator, as I said earlier. He started drawing at a very early age, other than doodling in his math notebook, or any textbook for that matter. He had some troubles with drawing because of, one, he used everything to draw, including black tar and using his white house as a canvas, and the black tar never washed off. Even though you scrubbed very hard, you need to take the boards out for some reason. And two, Walt Disney probably didn't intend that to be his case. Firstly, Walt Disney is a good drawer. Really? I thought he was a bad drawer. Let me review the script. Bad drawer. I read good drawer. Well, whatever the cause, or whatever drawer he was definitely a very bad drawer. Because back then, when he drew, it wasn't like all the cartoons that he's ever known. Sometimes he even drew for the newspaper, but he got many critics, which is bad for a person. And talking about Walt Disney and everything he's ever experienced, let's move on to the future. And speaking of future, sorry about this mark on my eye. You'll probably see it in the future episodes, and I may not record another episode until it heals, but may see me, but if there is another episode, see me with this, if there is that. But let's continue on. Now, Walt Disney is as a good drawer as ever as he was. He did play a production of Peter Pan at elementary school, which made him falling from the ceiling, but other than that, he had a good life. Walt Disney did respect Abraham Lincoln a ton of respect. And with that, I guess you could say that he was more of a historian than an animator. And another thing, you could also say that he was an animator and not much a historian other than studying Abraham Lincoln. Well, other than that, well, let's just say. Now, Walt Disney was now trying to create animations at the place he worked, and he saw a superior animation project, and by that I mean there's gonna be a lot of twitches and twerks that Walt Disney created. And that was basically a better animation. Stop motion animation. There was also a quicker way. Here is that basically you put a white surface there and you put the character on the white surface. Then you quickly take them away as quick as possible to make them look like moving. Look like they're moving. And we still use the concept today, and one of my first animations actually used stop motion animation. 500 slides on PPTs. Yes, PowerPoint presentation and 500 slides. That took 50 seconds of reel, and 500 slides was basically 10 seconds per slide. Okay, it took as long as you wanted, but here in Walt Disney's world, there's not much you could do. Until he created lithograms. Those were basically the names of his animations, and eventually became the name of his first animation company. And the first thing that Walt Disney tried to create was Alice in Wonderland. Now, it made sense that he would create it because it would have a new tone to other superior cartoons. Here's why. Back then, experimental cartoons were basically put an animation in the real world, which is what we might see today. And today we might think of animation, and that is a rule. But nowadays, I've seen a few videos where animations become aware and go into the real world. Well, that was a little experiment that they did back then, but then Walt Disney decided to change all of it. Firstly, you create Alice in Wonderland, where basically this happens. The actor is a real person, and the real person is in the cartoon. And the actor? A 4-year-old. Virginia Davis, which became a very pop star, but the movie was only halfway finished when they had to cut it because of bankruptcy. So yeah. But then another woman called Margaret saw and liked what she saw of what Walt did for Alice in Wonderland and decided to pay for a series of Alice cartoons. But they had to be finished in 3 months. Well, Walt did quicker than that. He convinced his young actors' parents to move to Hollywood, which is now where he lives. And he actually created the first cartoon ahead of schedule. And yeah, ahead of schedule, and then he was able to finish them sooner. Then everybody came and watched the movie. But then, what would happen to the money that that was paid for? What would happen when the audience didn't like it? Truth be told, they loved it. And now that they're in Hollywood, they were getting bored of Alice cartoons, so they decided that they needed to move on. And which character should I use? Well, nonetheless, they chose this one. At least created this one. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. I forgot to color his tongue. Sorry, guys. I think I'll do that right now. I just noticed the shape of his tongue looks a lot like a butt. But anyway, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was a very big hit, and it was a wise choice to switch to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit because the viewers were also getting bored of Alice in Wonderland episodes. Lucky him. And so what happened? He basically signed a contract keeping the rights of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit with Universal. But when it was time to renew the contract after a lot of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit episodes, which were basically very popular, the Universal decided to not renew the contract, which gave them the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Well, this isn't illegal, but it was legal. It was legal, but it wasn't good. It's not a good habit. Animators, whoever watched this, try not to do that with your Link animators, and not try to steal their characters. That's my message. All right. Good. Okay. And speaking of also the Lucky Rabbit, Walt realized that having a new character, a new and better character, will be better suited. You love him, you know him, it's Mortimer Mouse. Mortimer? Who in the world is Mortimer? Oh. Well, turns out that guy is Mickey Mouse. Today we know him as Mickey Mouse, but how did Mortimer Mouse become Mickey Mouse? Well, it turns out Walt Disney wanted Mortimer Mouse to actually be Mortimer Mouse, but then his wife, or mother, we're not sure about that, decided that Mortimer sounded too evil and decided to name him Mickey, eventually creating Mickey Mouse, which you probably know. And Mickey Mouse is very hard to draw, which is why I'm not drawing him here. The old version, that is. And frankly, it was just a silent cartoon, where basically the first episode with Mickey in it was where Mickey was flying a plane and trying to impress his girlfriend, Minnie. Also, the idea of Minnie came from when an animator decided to girlify Mickey. And he did it because he needed a girlfriend to them, to their ideas. And that actually worked out. No, it didn't work out. That first episode never went to the theater, even the second episode. But the third episode was in Steamboat Willie. They had to do it better. Sound movies were created and never synchronized. So, what if Walt synchronized the sounds? And that was the first synchronized movie and first synchronized cartoon. And it won an Oswald Award. Yay! He kept his rights to Mickey Mouse because he didn't have a contract. He had a contract of keeping it, but it wasn't sure. It wasn't shared with Universal. So Mickey Mouse stayed in Disney hands until now. And here Mickey just whistles. Woo! Okay, I'm really bad at whistling. And Minnie keeps saying yoo-hoo. And in the first episode where Mickey talks, Walt Disney decided that he would talk. He would voice Mickey. And Mickey's first words? Hot dog. And that is awesome. Because who doesn't like a hot dog? And he also decided to voice the voice of Minnie. Now basically there was nothing called dubbing today. We can just make the voices, make the sounds separately, but back then they didn't have that technology, so they had to synchronize and make the sounds all at the same time, which actually made the episode faster to make, but poorer quality. And well, then I think we could all agree that Walt Disney probably got bored with making movies. Or maybe it was because he was thinking of the next project. Disneyland! You love it, you love it, Disneyland! You also probably live in it, Disneyland! Basically, it was also a hotel and a resort. I never actually stayed at Disneyland, even though there's a Hong Kong Disneyland right next door, and I've been there, but I've probably never stayed there. I should stay there on the summer vacation. Well, anyway, if I do stay at the Mickey Mouse, at the Disneyland Resort, I'll make a video about it. And yeah. But sadly, in 1966, after a few Disneylands were created, including the Space Mountain one, it turns out that Walt Disney himself created the idea of Space Mountain. He died in 1966 because of lung cancer. And why of lung cancer? He smoked too much. It was a habit he could never stop. And kids, teenagers, and smokers, I highly advise not to smoke at all. Or if you're smoking at this very moment, quit squeaking. Exactly. I surprised you with the cigarette in your mouth and it just fell out. Hope it did though. And the first Disneyland, however, had 200,000 visitors, and most of them didn't even have tickets. Most of them just climbed on their fence and played in Disneyland without tickets. And most of the ones with tickets were basically VIPs. And I guess that was pretty good. But when Disney died, when Steve Jobs died, the American flag in Disney World was masted halfway, and when Walt Disney died, well, nothing happened. Not the flag. It was still awesome for Steve Jobs to get some respect. After Walt's death, Disney bought a lot of companies, and I will say them to you, and also had a shareholder in some of them. Okay, now these are the companies the Walt Disney had, or bought, or shared. It was the Walt Disney Pictures, Disney Nature, Disney Toon Studios, Lucasfilm, which actually gave us Star Wars, Pixar, which gave us a lot of movies, like I think Toy Story and The Incredibles, Marvel, where it basically gave us Avengers, the X-Men, and the very recent movie of the Eternals, Touchdown Picture, which gave us a lot of movies like The Dead Poet Society, Hollywood Records, ABC News, ESPN, A&E, Lifetime, the History Channel, and the famous multi-network YouTube channel, Baker. Now, I knew that it had some of these, especially Marvel and Lucasfilms, but I never knew it had a lot, this much, and especially a YouTube channel for that matter, and ABC News, which sounds correct. But I never knew that they had this much. So I'll ask you a question. Did you know that they had this many companies, or at least shared this many companies? Tell me in the comments below. And now that we're at the end of this episode, I would highly like to say all the movies, or at least all the ones I could remember, created by Walt Disney, from the beginning of Walt Disney all the way to January 20th, 2022. They are Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, Song of the South, Cinderella, Treasure Island, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, 20 Satellite Leagues Under the Sea, Lady and the Tramp, Old Yeller, Sleeping Beauty, Swiss Family Robinson, The Parent Trap, The Sword in the Stone, Mary Poppins, I already said that, did I? Raya and the Last Dragon, Wall-E, Monsters, Inc., Life as a Bug, Inside Out, Encanto, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Artemis Fowl, and a lot more. Oh yeah, Encanto. And that is a lot of movies. And they're still creating some right now. So, I'm guessing that we would expect more movies from Disney Studios. So, hope you guys were snug in your couches or whatever you were watching this video. And I'll see you in the next episode. Should I out and peace! Wall-E, Cinderella, Monsters Inc., Artemis Fowl, Incredible, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Life as a Bug, Finding Nemo, Inside Out, Raya and the Last Dragon, Encanto, Peter Pan, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, Song of the South, Treasure Island, Alice in Wonderland, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Lady and the Tramp, Old Yeller, Sleeping Beauty, Swiss Family Robinson, The Parent Trap, The Sword in the Stone, and Mary Poppins.